Hello, good afternoon. I'm discussing about some different general teaching methods, lecture method, demonstration method, seminar, symposium, also parallel discussion, programs, introduction, computer introduction, learning, heuristic, instruction, critical pedagogy. There are so many different methods are teaching methods. First of all, lecture methods. Lecture method is the educational presentation usually delivered by an instructor to a group of students with the use of instructional aids and training device. Lectures are useful for presentation of new materials, summarizing ideas, and showing relationship between theory and practice. In lecture methods, the teacher only presents the materials of the course in the organized way to the students going from theory to campus and back again. Lecture may contain varying level of students' participation and notes are generally taken. Lecture method is the oldest and most basic pedagogic tools, although experience and educational resource show that the lecture is less effective than activity methods at school level. Many teachers find themselves spending at least 30 to 50% of their teaching time in lecturing. Lecture method is a method less emphasis on the presentation of contents. The teacher is more active and students are passive, but she also uses the question answer to keep them attentive in the class. It is used to motivate, clarify, expand, and review the information. Lecture is a method of instruction does place enormous weight and attention on teacher. Unlike the other methods, there is no ideal place for teacher. The spotlight on the teacher is the center of attention, and for many students, it is the lecturer rather than the lecture content that is the greatest interest. If the lecture method is to be one that is successful, the teacher must be aware that the lectures acquire the great attention, hard work, creativity, and certain type of the personality and or of the part of the former. The use of the lecturing depends on the subject matter, the teaching philosophy of the teacher, and the overall learning situation. Formal lecturing is used largely to build up the basic theoretical knowledge, which must be gained before the practice of skills. If the number of students in the class is large, teaching resources are scarce, or limited number of the periods are available on the timetable, lecturing may be the only alternative. Advantage and disadvantage of lecture methods. Advantage of lecture method. In these teaching methods, a large amount of topics can be covered in a single class period. Using of this method exclude using of any equipments or lab. Learning materials is not required. Students listening skills develop. Logical arrangement of the materials in order to present in it orally helps to learn language. Disadvantage of the lecture method of teaching. Physiologically, this method is acceptable because individuals are not alike. Teachers deliver the same lecture to both students without recognizing the individual difference. Learning is an active process that study should encourage to actively participate in the classroom instead of just listening the teacher. Language using in the lecture is above the situation of the students. They are not able to get full advantage of the lecture. Lectures are often forgotten by the students soon after, while learning is retained if activities are experienced. Attention level is not the same while the students listening in the lecture. Lecture come demonstration method. Lecture come demonstration methods. Lecture method and the demonstration method, that is the lecture come demonstration method features. This method includes the advantage of the both the lecture as well as the demonstration method. The main purpose of the lecture come demonstration are to convey information, to generate the understanding, to stimulate the interest, to convey information, to generate understanding, to stimulate interest, to convey information, to generate understanding, stimulate. Here the students see the actual apparatus and operations. I hear and I forget, I see and I remember, I do and I understand. Confucius. Steps planning and presentation, introduction of lesson, presentation of the subject matter, experimentation, blackboard work, supervision. Planning and preparation, subject matter, lesson planning, rehearse and experiments, collection of apparatus arrangement. Advantage, this method involves active participation on the part of the both the teacher and the students. Leads the students from concrete experience to abstract concept. Saves time and energy, useful for all types of the students. Also promote useful discussion, improves students' observational skills and reasoning power. Lecture come demonstration method is a good strategy to create and maintain interest and zeal of students. Disadvantage, it is not always possible to hold the students' attention while using the method. Lack of opportunity for developing the practical ability. Each and every students may not be very attentive and may not watch the whole experience properly. Sometimes speed of the demonstration is either too fast or too slow, and it may create problems. Role of the teacher, the demonstration should be planned and rehearsed well in advance. The teacher should be clear of the purpose of the demonstration. Teacher should know the aims and objectives of the demonstration. If the teacher does not handle class situation effectively, students can become indisciplined. The teacher should conduct the questions answer session while or after the use of this method. Conclusion, lecture cum demonstration method is very effective for imparting, making known and education, and it has positive impact on the students' learning and expertise. It is very suitable method to teach in high school classes, and scientific attitudes developed through this method as the experiments are demonstrated rather than lecturing alone. Project method, according to W.S. Kilpatrick, project is a wholehearted, purposeful activity proceeding in a social environment. According to the Sir Johan Dewey, what is to be taught should have a direct relationship with the actual happening in life, and central idea forms the core basis of the project method. It is based on the philosophy of pragmatism founded by the John Dewey. In the early 20th century, Williams had Kilpatrick expanded the project method into a philosophy of education. His device is child-centered and based in the progressive education. Unlike the traditional education proponents of the project method tend to allow the student to solve the problems with as little teacher's direction as possible. The teacher is more facilitator than a deliverer of knowledge and information. Philosophies behind these methods are the students learn the better to association, cooperation, and activity. Learning by doing, learning by living, because life is actually full of the projects. And we try to carry out these projects every day. Types of project, method, constructive, artistic, and problem-solving group work. Some characteristics, students-based approach related to the real-life situation, product-based approach, action-based approach, a holistic integrated learning process, collective implementation, interdisciplinary nature. Major steps of the project method, creating the situation, providing the situation, choosing the project, selection of the project, planning, carrying out the projects, executing, evaluating, recording project report. There are some merits and demerits. The project method is based on the principles of the active learning. Meaningful learning is always associated with the project method. The student enjoys full freedom in the conducting project. The project method helps the students in his or preparation for a future life. The students gets the scope to imbibe several social qualities like cooperation and teamwork, group affinity, and sacrifice. These projects or team is also there. The subject content cannot be taught systematically or in a sequence. The planned projects cannot be designed for all the subjects and the whole subject. It is very costly and time-consuming strategy of the teaching. All social qualities can not be developed by this strategy. Steps, great creating situation, selection of problem, planning, executing the project, evaluating, son, reporting and recording. And there are also some advantages of project methods. It follows the psychological laws of learning, law of readiness, law of exercise, law of effect. Connects the learning at school with reality. No place for rote memorization. Children feel for to express themselves and show their creativeness and imagination. It provides the self-motivation as the students themselves select, plan, and execute the project. The students get those ample opportunities in which they can develop and coordination between mind and body. Develops social values and skills. There are also disadvantages in our project measures. Textbooks and instructional materials are hardly available. Teaching is disorganized, consumes a longer time the expected, therefore, it is not possible to fit in the timetable schedule. Parents are not always supportive for the project work, and larger project in the hand of the experienced and unskilled teachers lead to the boredom. Method is expensive as the students will have to bear the expensive load of the materials or items, outdoor activities and traveling and other visits. The project semester cannot be planned for all subjects, puts extra pressure on the teacher. Role of teacher over the project methods. Teacher should fix a time limit for each project to avoid the problem of supervision. Teacher can appoint a leader to each group of situation, group of students. Sorry. There is the teacher's knowledge should be true and specific. Teacher should be being observer and true supporter, helps the students in planning and allotting the activities according to the interest and the abilities. This method is based on the principle of learning by doing, and if the teacher can devise and plan a good project and something that students will gain a lot of this occasion and use will always remain the effective tools in the hand of the teacher. The teacher has work as a careful guide and during the execution of the project. Heuristic discovery to find methods. It is the psychological fact that is the compared to arguing the knowledge for information from others on these facts raise the values of heuristic methods in which are learned by placing the oneself in the position in a discover or even inventor. According to this method, students themselves discover the facts of science of closer study tapers to the second forms of the indicative methods. A heuristic method of the teaching is an instructional approach that emphasizes the use of the problem solving and discovery-based learning as well as the experience-based learning to facilitate the students' learning. Heuristic basically means any method or process that helps in the problem solving, self-learning, and discovery. This is the heuristic methods. Uh, Stevenson project is a problematic act carried to completion in the natural setting. Kilpatrick project is a whole-hearted, purposeful activity proceeding in a social environment. Ballard project is a bit of real life and has been imparted to the school. Parker project is a unit of the activity in which the pupils are made responsible for planning and purposing. Parker's pupils are responsible. Ballard, real life, a bit of real life, and Kilpatrick wholehearted purposeful activity pursuing the social environment, Kilpatrick social environment. Sten Benson project probably carried out completion in its the natural setting. Heuristic method is the pure discovery methods and science independent general in health guidance provided by the teacher in this method. In this, the teacher set up the problems for the students and hence stands aside while they discover the answer. The students are led to the discover facts with the help of the experiments, apparatus, and books. Learner behaves like as a resource scholar. A problem set with the minimum instruction is given, and learner is required to perform the experiments concerning the problems in hands. The authors must also put down the conclusion from the observation. The teachers should be ready to accept any suggestion for the solution of problems, regardless of how irrelevant it has been to him or for he is really the true spirit of scientific problem solving. Teachers should be the ready to accept any suggestion for the solution of problem, regardless of how irrelevant it may seem to him or her. For this is really the true spirit of scientific problem solving. Okay, what is the heuristic method for teaching? Heuristic method is the teaching in instructional approach that emphasizes the use of the problem solving and discovery based learning as well as the experience based learning to facilitate the students' learning. Heuristic basically means any method or process that helps the problem solving, self learning, and discovery. Heuristic teaching approach means that the teacher acts as the more than the an instructor and encourages the students to explore concept, ideas, and problems. Teachers possess open-ended questions, encourage the students' participation, and guides students towards the results. Some objectives of heuristic method of teachings encourage students to become independent learners and critical thinkers in life. Focus emphasizes the learning process rather than just gaining the knowledge. Applicability is suitable for various subject areas. Effectiveness, particularly effective in the field requiring the problem solving, critical thinking, and creativity. It is used to achieve the cognitive and affective objectives. The main focus is to socialize a child and to develop the ability of problem solving. Examples of the heuristic methods include the inquiry-based learning, problem-based learning, and project-based learning. Each of these methods encourage students to explore, discover, and to develop those solutions to real world problems rather than just learning information. Heuristic method of teaching is the student centered approach. Some principles of heuristic method of teachings, the principle of actively, the principle of the activity it means that the self-activity is that the main component of this method. Students can learn by discovery on their own and their advice, and drives the self-learning experience as well. Principle of activity. Principle of laws of learning. The laws of learning say that the problem suit is the for the learner's age and capabilities. It is based on the law of the readiness. With these principles, students learn a lot of things as they discover and face the consequence on their own. They learn the law of the cause and effect. The principle of logical thinking, the principle of logical thinking or the heuristic method combines both inductive and deductive logical reasoning approaches where students learn the fundamental through various examples and experiments. The principle of purposeful experience. The principle of purposeful experience means purposeful self-exploration where students are encouraged to develop an understanding of the activities they engage in. With the help of such activities, students can enhance their ability to reflect on their actions and gain a deeper understanding of the world around them. A heuristic method is an approach to finding solution to a problem that originates from the ancient Greek word eurisko means to find, source, or discover. It is about using a practical method that does not necessarily need to be the perfect heuristic method. Speed up the process of learning, reaching satisfactory solution. Heuristic method, four principles. Poya describe the applying the principles in this book. Try to understand the problem, make a plan, carry out a plan, and evaluate and adapt. First of all, try to understand problem, make plan, carry out this plan, evaluate and adapt. Heuristic, there are the many different heuristic methods which Puella are used. The most well-known heuristic are found below. Dividing techniques, the original problems is divided into smaller sub-problems that can be solved more easily. These sub-problems can be linked to each other and combined with which will eventually lead to the solving of the original problem. Inductive method, this involves a problem that has already been solved but is smaller than the original problems, and generalization can be derived from the previously solved problems which can help solving the bigger original problem. Reduction method, because of problems are of the larger than the assumed and deal with the different causes and factors, this method sets limits for the problem in advance. This reduces the leeway of the original problems, making it easier to solve. Constructive method, this is about working on the problem step by step. The smallest solution is seen as a victory, and from that point, consecutive steps are taken. This way, the about choice keep being made, which will be eventually leads to a successful result. Local search method, this is the about the search for the most attainable solutions to the problem. This solution is improved along the way. This method is when the improvement is no longer possible. Roles of teacher in heuristic methods. Teacher should be a good guide. He should possess good insight. He should have a true knowledge of his subject. There are some merits and demerits. It develops the habits and of inquiry and investigation among the students. It develops habits of self-learning and self-direction. It develops scientific attitudes among the students. It is psychologically sound system of learning as it's based on the maximum learning by doing. Most of the work is done in a class, and so the teacher has no worry to assign check home task. It provides a scope for individual attention to be paid by the teacher and for closer contacts. Also some demerits. It is a long and time consuming method, and so it is the difficult to cover the prescribed in time. The presuppose a very small class and the gifted teacher, and the method is to technical and scientific to be handled by a average teacher. The method expects of the teacher a great efficiency and hard work, experience and training. It is not suitable for beginners in the early stage. The students needs enough guidance, which, if not given, may develop distress, distress for students. In this method, too much stress in placed on practical work, how which may lead to the student to form a wrong idea of nature of the science as a whole. Learners grow up in the belief that science is some things to be done in the laboratory. Okay, discussion method. It is defined as a learning experience in which study participate in a teacher control interactive process of sharing information and experience related to the achieving and instructional objectives. In discussion methods, as is true with any group learning effort, the teacher typically relies on the study to provide ideas, experience, options, informations. The teacher may use this method during the classroom period and after the students have gained some knowledge and experience. Discussion methods are a variety of forums for open-ended, collaborative exchange of ideas among the teacher and students, or among the students for the purpose of furthering students' thinking, learning, problem solving, understanding, or literary appreciation. The Latin word discutere, which means to shake things or knowledge and hit again, is the root of the English word discuss, communicate with one another and exchange knowledge, just as the students do with their teachers and fellow pupils. Therefore, the term discussion refers to the comprehensively examining a topic in order to draw a conclusion. A discussion occurs when two or more peoples gather to talk about particular topics. Types of discussion method of teachings, small group discussion method of teachings. For people to be actively involved, a small group of the 20 or fewer members meets for a small meeting or the foundation of the bigger gathering. This group offers a variety of chances for meaningful intention and innovative discussions. A specific group of students participate in the role play discussion in which they are assigned various assignments and pretend to the other students in order to solve the difficulties. For example, a teacher assigns a group in this class the duty of planting a plant. All the pupils in the group can take part in this activity, take care of it. Large group discussion method of teachings. Large group discussion method of teaching categorized includes the formal discussion, seminar discussion, symposium, panel discussion methods. Formal discussion groups in discussion of this environment, a class of broke up into smaller groups. Each group is assigned a topic to discuss, and each group choose its own leaders and assigns tasks to its members. Groups of students take part in interconversion. Formal group discussion. Seminar discussion. A seminar is a discussion led by a respected resource person and built around knowledge delivered by the specialist by the benefits of the participants. Seminar discussion methods. A symposium, it is the method that works well as a tool for educating and audience discussion. The process of resembles traditional lecture format. Panel discussion method. A panel discussion method is has the four eight members, all whom are the knowledgeable individuals who discuss certain topics. Uh, we may use the public Punjab Service Commission as an example. If we go in for an interview, there will be a panel of 4 to 5 people with their home. We will communicate. Another example of can be that the talk shows on the news channels also consist of a panel discussion in which the 4 to 8 people is sit together and discuss political and non-political topics. Preparation and conduct discussion method. There are three stages of preparing and conducting discussion method: orientation, engagement, debrief. Orientation give the topic of the discussion, clearly state what the question is, describe the discussion preparation requirements for the students, describe the procedure for the discussion. Students should be encouraged to think. Debrief. The teacher should allow the students time to make notes during the discussion between the students and in class when it is necessary to do so. To retention the handwritten notes improve, encourage the reflection of the students in on their classrooms. Engagement is the creating the better learning environment in the classroom allows all of the teachers and the students to carry on the teaching and learning process in comfortable settings. Ask focus questions to keep the discussion on the topic. Start off by having the pupils define the terms when the students is working on this assignment. If the students needs assistance at any point, the teacher should talk with the students, right, and work towards the solution. A good teacher will know when to move on from a subject and when to wait for a response from the students. Reorient the discussion. Keep a record of your progress. Concluding the debate with a summary or assessment. Concluding the debate with a summary or assessment. Importance of discussion methods of teaching, expressing the thoughts or opinions. People engage with one another most of the time in some way. They participate in the debate, which is exchanging of ideas or viewpoints and talk about a variety of topics. In the classroom, teachers use a variety of methods. The conversational tone plays a big role. The way of teachers behave in class discussion deviates significantly from the definition of discussion or evidenced by the outcomes of the discussion in the classrooms. Two-way communication. Two-way communication discussion is a process of two-way communication and dialogue between the teacher and the learner. In this approach, the teacher verbal or non-verbal feedbacks of the utmost significance since it helps the students achieve at the targeted learning outcomes. If the lesson does not go well and students is told to put more effort and present the formation of this way, helpful for all members. Discussion are consist very important, not only the students but also for teachers. It gives the students an opportunity to explain their ideas, facilitate logical examination and understanding of different points of view. It not only ensures students' participation in activities but also creates an atmosphere of reflection of on important teaching points, creating understanding of new ideas and causing the change in the behavior of the students. Guidelines for improving the effectiveness of the discussion methods. Students and teachers should interact in a friendly environment where they may accept one another, and students should be free to express themselves without inhibition. The teacher must be completely knowledgeable about the subject being discussed and ready for discussion. Students must be ready to participate in the discussion at a high level. In this regard, the teacher should plan teaching activities relating to the topic before the discussion so that the students can be completely prepared for the discussion, and students should be encouraged to participate in the discussion. Once there is the sufficient time to complete the learning objectives, the discussion actively should begin. In general, subject teaching goals after discussion involve the gaining advanced skills. The discussion topics should be introduced by the teacher by writing it on the whiteboard. The teacher should devote enough time to thoroughly explain every topic while establishing a psychologically secure environment in the classroom. It is advisable to have the several types of discussion. The teacher should summarize the entire conversation of the students when the discussion finishes, although it is preferable if the student does this. Advantage of discussion methods: teaching leadership quality. Students can develop this leadership quality through discussion. For examples, if schools conducts students council elections where each of the candidates can visit each class one at a time and gain votes for themselves through the campaigning, as involves both challenging and delicate discussion at every stage. The completion will be welcome opportunity to encourage the development of the future leaders for nation. Expressibility ability is the capacity to perform a task similar to how different types of talents might arise from the discussion approach, and depending on the students' intellectual capabilities, and as especially the teacher can determine their ability by doing this. Students communicate with their classmates and teacher about their ideas and abilities. Develops the study habits. If a teacher engages with the students in a nice manner and works to improve their study habits, they can be motivated to learn by employing the discussion methods. If done, it has the significant impact on the entire discussion and develops various educational habits. Creative ability: students participate in the debates and share their opinions as a part of their discussion methods used to enact change, and particularly preparing their minds for the response that variety viewpoints would generate. You can fix challenges and better solutions by using their creative thinkings. Problem solving ability: in this discussion method, the teacher provides a variety of problems that the class and invites each students to come up with the solutions of their own. This helps the pupils learn how to solve problems on their own, develop democratic way of thinking. The discussion approach is based on the democratic principles, which instill democratic thinking in the students and provide them freedom to express disagreements on any aspects of the topics being discussed in class. Developing communication skills. Each student is allowed to participate in a discussion on a subject under the discussion method, which helps the pupils improve their speaking and listening skills. Enhance your motivation and confidence. Through the discussion approach, pupils communicate with the another, which boost their self-assurance and encourage them to take actions and move forward, realize their objectives. Disadvantage of discussion methods of teaching: time consuming. The discussion method takes up a lot of time, irritating topics because of the uninteresting topics and the students' lack of engagement. The discussion frequently ends up being the meaningless and confusing. Avoid contributing to the discussion. There are certain students who are unable to participate in the class discussion, which has an impact on their academic performance. Conflict among the members. Conflicting viewpoints can frequently arise during the discussion, which could have impact on the discussion central issues. Uh, Pause in discussion. There are the numerous minor and significant pause in the discussion that interrupt is now forcing the teacher to step in the some point. Failure to obtain unexpected outcomes when the discussion is unproductive or the desired results are not obtained and teachers must deal with a lot of difficulties. Pointless discussion, the talk frequently has no purpose because of the pupils immaturity and the misunderstanding of the situator's two backgrounds. Discussion evaluation difficulty, the assessment of student engagement in the debate is another significant issue that teachers frequently encounter. Formal discussion, formal group discussion in which discussion among group has 8 to 12 members who express their ideas in friendly manner with time to limitation 20 to 30 minutes. Group discussion is mostly unstructured, no advanced topics given, acknowledge leadership behavior, and quality is determined by group discussion. Panel discussion, a panel discussion is designed to provide opportunity for a group to hear several people knowledgeable about specific issue or topics, present information and discuss personal view. A panel discussion may help the audience further clarify and evaluate their positions regarding the specific issues or topics. Bunk discussion and increase their understanding in the positions of the others. Formal discussion, panel discussion, delimitation of party panel discussion on the web, discussion of a subject of uh, public interest by a group of the persons forming a panel, usually before and audience. A structured conversation on a given topic among the several people in front of audience, instructional techniques using a given group of people choosing to discuss a topic in the presence of the audience. Objectives of panel discussion to provide information and new facts, to analyze a problem from different angles, to identify values involved, to give up an opportunity to interact with experts in the field. Guidelines for the conducting of panel discussion: identify, select panelists, leader, moderator, specify the objectives, and decide upon the format. Some advantages of the panel discussion increase social learning, develop higher united and effective objectives, develop ability of problem solving and logical thinking, develop tolerance of the views of other than the one's own, provide the opportunities of assimilation of theme and content of discussion, develop the creative thinking, develop ability presentation of theme and give the logical explanation. Also, limitation over panel discussion. There are the chances of deviation from the topics under discussion. Some members may dominate. The panelists may split the audience for and against. Seminar. A group of advanced students studying under a professor which is doing original research and all exchanging results through the reports and discussion. A course of study pursued by a seminar or advanced or graduate course often featuring the informality and discussion. A scheduled meeting of a seminar or group of for source meeting or meeting for giving and discussing information. Seminars have the functions of bringing together a small group of recurring meetings focusing its time on some particular subject in which everyone present in requested to actively participate. The idea behind the seminar system is the for the diary students more intensively with the methodology of their chosen subject and also to allow them interact with the examples of the practical aspects of the problems. Seminar dealing with the social topics. Advantage of seminar, a wealth of knowledge usually presented by the many speakers at once time in one place. It is ensured for teacher the syllabus can be converted on them. A seminar helps develop tolerance of views of then one's own. It helps develops higher cognitive and academic objectives. A seminar develops ability of problem solving and logical thinking. Students can meet others with the same interest, problem, concerns that they may have in their chosen field. Also, disadvantage over the seminar. There is a chance that the speaker may sharing incorrect knowledge and not all the knowledgeable themselves. There is a chance that the topics may not actively help understanding of the topics, that the seminars will be a waste of time where nothing learned is of any use of the students. There is a chance that the students will expect too much from seminars and discuss, thus be disappointed. Symposium or convivial party as a banquet in ancient Greece with music and conversation, a social gathering and which there is a free interchange of ideas, or formal meeting at which the several specialists deliver short address on a topic or on related topics, compared to colloquium and a collection of opinions on a subject, especially ones uh, published by the periodical. Colloquium, a plural of colloquiums or colloquia, uh, are usually academic meeting at which specialists deliver address on the topics and or related topics and then answer questions relating to them. Or ninth session or scholar leads colloquium to introduce teachers to literacy texts by any other minorities. Discussion or consideration of questions in open and usually informal debate or formal treatment of topic is speech or writing. An occasion at which the people who have the great knowledge of a particular subject meet in the order to discuss it a matter of the matter. Uh, Symposium in academic conference there and time being in the disregard symposium of the being interchangeable with the conference, and symposium could be loosely expanded mini conference with the experience. These are sometimes also panels, workshops, sessions, or roundtables, along with workshops and breakout rooms. Symposia or symposium usually occur within the conference, which can stand alone event. Especially, there are a form of discussion within a small group of people that have come together to discuss a specific topic or latest developments within their specified field. The purpose also the purpose of the symposium is to topically allow experts in a given fields to meet, discuss papers, topics in questions, and examine the issues and trends associated with the topics. From this discussion, resolutions and recommendation can develop for the next step to be actions. The findings from a symposium can be used to help others within the field of research and can endure testing in applicable. Alternatively, these actions can stimulate others to seek new knowledge and finding within their sector. Essentially, the purpose is to be facilitate the free exchange of information. Who is involved within the symposium? There are a couple of different formats of symposium can take place. A symposium usually a chair, often the symposium submitter and discussant, The discussing role is to read the papers and use their expertise to explore how they advance and further symposium topics. Conference often last over few of days, week length, and the most information is being broadcasted. The typical yellow sessions format with various types of sessions presented across the entire event. This session can include, as stated earlier, poster session, presentation, speakers, discussion, and panel, symposium, and workshops. Symposium, as we already discussed, symposium are the most smaller scale than the conference. The hosted within the conference or their own the formats are more of precise and slender focus and the topics and are usually discussed by panel. Their duration is much shorter than that of the conference, lasting from a couple of hours to a day compared to a week-long conference. Advantage of symposium methods: a symposium provides students greater opportunity for self-expression. It develops creative thinking. It helps develop greater self-confidence and good community skills. Disadvantages also have the symposium. The students may be also used to possessive learning, and that is not willing to share that this method may prove beyond their capabilities. This method may be in the case of the waste of time. The chosen topics may not actively help understanding of the topics. There is a chance that students will expect too much from the symposium and thus disappointed. Team teaching. Team teaching can be defined as a group of the two or more teachers working together to plan, conduct, and evaluate the learning activities for the same group of leaders. Quinn and Cantor, 1984, defined that team teaching is simply teamwork between the two qualified instructors who together make the presentation to audience. It is also called shared teaching or co-teaching. Team teaching is most beneficial when the educators are collaborative effectively with the one another and share a common purpose. Main objectives of team teachings are to improve the quality of teaching, to modify the classroom of teaching according to the abilities and interests of the students, to best utilize the teaching style, interest, and expertise of teachers in the teachers community. Main characteristic of the teaching, uh, team teaching. Team teaching involves two or more teachers participating in the processing of teaching. The team teaching plan of flexible. The team teaching is based upon the collective responsibility of teaching given to a small group of teachers rather than the giving the entire responsibility of teaching to one another only. The responsibility is shared by all of the members of the staff. Every teacher is involved in the team teaching processing, teaches and execute the team teaching process cooperatively. Team teaching involves collaborative teaching and every teacher taking part in the team teaching applies his or her experience, abilities, and exciting variety of resource. Uh, Ways you can use in team teaching in your college or schools. Parallel teaching, two teachers simultaneously instruct different groups of students in a same classroom, allowing the more individualized attention and feedback. This approach can be particularly effective in large class or when the students are working on complex tasks. Complementary teaching, teachers with the different areas of expertise can collaborate to provide a more comprehensive and diverse learning experience. For the instance of science and teacher, language art teacher might teach a unit of the scientific report writing. Professional development. Team teaching provides an excellent opportunity for teachers and learn from each other, enhancing their pedagogical skills and knowledge. Observing colleagues' teaching methods can offer valuable insight and inspire new teaching. Flexible groupings. Team teaching allows the flexible grouping of students which can be adjusted based on the learning objectives and students' needs. This can be particularly beneficial for different instruction. Shared responsibility. Team teaching is distribute the responsibilities of instruction, planning, and assessment among the multiple teachers, reducing the workload and stress associated with these tasks. Improved communication. Team teaching encourage the regular communication and collaboration among the teachers, fostering a more cohesive and supportive school community. Modeling collaboration. By working together, teachers model the importance of the collaboration and teamwork to their students, skills that are the crucial for success in the 21st century workplace. Innovative problem solving. When faced with challenges or obstacles in the classroom, team teachers can brainstorm and implement the innovative solutions together, leveraging their combined expertise and perspectives. So there are so many ways in team teaching: parallel teaching, complementary teaching skills, professional development teaching, flexible teaching, shared responsibility, improved communication, modeling collaboration, innovative problem solving. Different aspects of team teaching. Role differentiation. More than the two teachers performs different roles in the team teaching. The teacher performs an active role on a diagnostician. The teacher needs to assess the impact of different conditions on students' learning outcomes and they find out the cause of failures. Facilitator, the teacher must use group dynamics to facilitate learning. Technician, the teacher needs to observe changes in behavior and assess the success of teaching. In some cases, a teacher needs to function as a decision maker, straight or guide. Regrouping of students. Normally, class size occur between the 35 and 55 students. For team teaching, learners of 2 or 3 classes are grouped, thus creating a large group of 100 to 120 students together in one place. Students may also be grouped based on the subjects. Rescheduling of time. For team teaching, a small group of educators teach a large group of the students. Due to this, a new schedule is needed according to need of the subject. Team teaching is not feasible in the regular single subject classroom in the school. Redesigning teaching space. Generally, the use of the classroom in according to the number of students in regular classes. Due to the large group size, there is a need for larger teaching space for team teaching. Common time to plan activities. The group of teachers needs to common planning time to design their activities of team teaching. For example, they may choose to utilize audiovisual aids for team teaching. It is significant to have a common time to plan these activities. Teaching in a meaningful manner. The team structure provides opportunities for creative and selective work. In team teaching, teachers must offer students development opportunities in the meaningful way. It is recommended to make a group of teachers with different talents. By doing so, the group of teachers will be able to develop concepts such as critical thinking and independent study skills. Major advantage of team teaching: job satisfaction, staff morale, staff retention, and work environment. Secondary and primary teachers learn from primary supply teachers. Performance of underprepared students improves due to learning more effectively from different teachers. Modeling cooperation and teamwork to students, opportunities for struggling or inexperienced teaching team to get tips for team teaching and learn from the other teacher strengths to develop conflict resolution skills, to seek expert opinions. Challenges of using the team teaching method. It is difficult to fulfill team teaching demands on time and money. It is not always successful to use a single method of team teaching in a school day. Team teaching is not suitable for non-professional staff, or people with rigid personality types, lack of content knowledge, and fear that they will have to do more work during a school day for the same salary. Some adults, teachers do not want to lose total control or share their pet ideas or the spotlight. It can be difficult to decide mutually agreeable times during the school's day for preparing lesson plans and for evaluation and planning carried out by the school teams. Benefits of teachers: improved teaching and learning, less correction, less stress as the portions are divided, more support from team member, greater sense of achievement, opportunity to learn new methods, less time spent on maintaining discipline. Benefits for students also: better teaching and learning, improved participation, self-esteem growth, dynamics written work, fewer distractions due to the improved discipline, improved attendance, better teacher-student relationship. Uh, Program instruction. A program instruction is a method of self-instruction that enlists machines or especially prepared books to teach information. Cherish Jordan. A program instruction has a defined as a member of giving individualized instruction in which the student is active and proceeds at his own pace and is provided with immediately knowledge of results. The physical presence of the teacher is not essential in this strategy. Susan and Markle, 1969, gave a wider definition of program instruction. It is the method of designing a reproducible sequence of instructional events to produce a measurable and consistent effect on behavior of each and every acceptable students. Smith and Murray, 1962, program instruction is the process of arranging the material to be learned into the series of sequential steps. Usually, it involves the students more from familiar background to complex and new set of the concept, principles, and understanding of learning program is a device to control the students' behavior and help them to learn without the direct supervision of teachers. Instruction is the purposeful, orderly, controlled sequencing or experience to teach to reach a specified goal. And program instruction is the presentation of material in a step-by-step procedure with knowledge of results and possibility of the different courses through instruction. Thus, a program accepts the responsibility of management of learning situation. This technique of instruction was basically developed by B.R. Skinner. This technique is fundamentally based on the principle of reinforcement and self-learning that is based on the theory of trial and error and operant conditioning. This technique is of learning is which a learner goes forward himself in the process of learning. This it is the contributed a lot in the reducing the load of the teacher and formal education system. Results in the best understanding and retention. Thus, program is the subject matter to be learned by the students, while programming is the new method of arranging the subject matter to be picked up by the pupils and graded steps arranged in the psychological and logical sequence, having its meaning dependent on the principles of the of from concrete to abstract and from familiar to new. Here the pupils proceed from fact to the concept. Had the learner's response the gradually shift to the desired level or refinement, the virgin programming may be credited to Sydney Press 1960s who develop a series of mechanical device which aims at presenting multiple choice questions to the learners after the instruction and which gave the immediate answer. Principles of operant condition, the response of the learner are strictly controlled by the program. Its main focus is to bring the desirable change in the cognitive domain of the learner's behavior. The structure of the teaching program develops frame based on each element. Responses are also provided to the learners in the program of some different reflects the correct response of the learners is the new knowledge of new behavior. Immediate confirmation of the correct response provides reinforcements to the learners and he proceeds to the next frame. A wrong response required feedback. Assumptions of program instruction. Our students learns better when he himself active. Our students learns better if he is motivated to learn by confirming his response. Our students learns better if the student's matter is presented to him in a small. Our students learns better if sequence of the content is psychologically working. Learning may be effective if the prerequisite on the part of the learner are specified. Students learn better, himself active, motivated, and subject matter is small and psychologically workable and effective prerequisite on the part of the learners specified. Principles of the program instruction, principle of small steps, principle of active responding, principle of feedback, principle of self-pacing, principle of error control. Principle of small steps, the principle includes the analysis of content subject matter to be learned or taught. The subject or skill is to be acquired to be broken into small steps. Learning takes place most rapidly if the subject matter is presented in small steps so that the success of the student on the new item is ensured. Each step, known as the frame, is presented to the student at a time. All of the steps are arranged in a logical sequence. Thus, the students proceed step by step, frame by frame, and achieves the terminal objectives put before him or her. Learning each frame gives the students a feeling of satisfaction, which is turn reinforce his learning. Principle of active responding. Another principle is program instruction is based on active responding by the students. Learners are made to interact with every bit of information and make response because the assumptions underlying these principles is that in order for meaningful learning to occur, a response must be made by the learners and the learners should be actively engaged with the subject matter. Responses may be overt when the learners write the answers or covert when the learners think out the answers. Response may overt when learners write the answer, covert when learners think the answer. Overt and covert. Principle of feedback. The term of feedback means knowledge of results. Experimental evidence support this principle that the more immediate the reward better is the learning. The students comes to know immediately whether he is on the right track. The learning accompanied with success or satisfaction is likely to be more permanent than learning accompanied by the failure or dissatisfaction. This mechanism is known as the controlling the behavior of the students. Principle of self-pacing. Program instruction is based on the assumption that the individual student learns according to his own pace, needs, and capabilities. It is student-centered and encourages each student to work at his own speed. Individualized instruction is brought about through self-paced workbooks, branching, scram books, principle of error control. Program instruction is the closely linked to the issue of error control. The learning sequence is broken down into the large number of small steps so that the rate of error is kept down to minimum and allows the reinforcement to be frequent and immediate. Formative evaluation of the programs helps to reduce the errors to minimum. Thus, it helps the concentrate more on analysis and students performs rather than on his errors. Some characteristics of program instruction. It is part of educational technology in the sense that program material can be presented with the help of machines and computers. It is a new strategy of teaching and learning how the learners learns himself without the help of the teacher. Thus, the problems of the dearth of effective teachers can be overcome. It is a technique for the solution of educational as well as the teaching problems. We can supply the program instructional materials to lakhs of the students of at a time and can help them to have the access to the latest knowledge and its dimensions. It is a technique for the modification of the learner's behavior. Thus, it is the opposite of the micro teaching where the teacher's behavior is modified. Learner's behavior is modified by confirming the right response immediately. It cannot replace the teachers from the field of the teaching altogether. It is because only the effective teaching can prepare a good program material. It requires more creativity and imaginative efforts to develop such individualized instructional materials. Every individual learners at his own speed. The basic concept of program instruction content are very small, that is small statements plus questions or direct questions. Answers are usually filling the blanks. Feedback is the form of the correct answer. Steps of the preparation of program instruction. Preparation, writing the frames, evaluation or tryout revision. Styles of programming. Linear programming style. A linear program consists of series of small segments of instructional units called frames. Subject matter is presented to the student in small bits. In this style, programming, all the students proceed in the predetermined way, that is, all the students follow the same linear sequence of the frames, each frame being a small size. Branching programming style. The branching style programming was conceived by a psychologist Norman Crowder in 1954, and it is also called Crowderian style of programming and has been defined as the program which adapts to the needs of the students without the medium of extrinsic device such as computer. This style of the programming is also called intrinsic because herein the learner with himself makes the decision to adapt the instruction to his needs according to background of the subject. Uh, Mathematics, the word mathematics is derived from the Greek word mathen, which means to learn. This style of program was first conceived by Thomas Gilbert in 1962 and defined as the systematic application of reinforcement theory to the analysis and the reconstruction of those complex behavior repertoires usually known as subject matter mastery of knowledge and skills. Mathematics tends to use much larger frames to maximize step size and produces frames with a few frames of possible. Gilbert called step frame and exercise. The mathematics exercise are presented on the various logical techniques for structuring the subject matter. The main objectives is that students supposed to do exercise and master the particular operations. It is the perspective rather than descriptive process. Advantage of program instruction: students is kept active and alert. It makes the students active and self-reliant. He gets good exercise in using new words, concept, and relationship, and lack of the attention is detected immediately, even if the commits or mistakes, he is immediately aware of it and can correct himself. It is individualized learning and a student can proceed on his own pace. Learning is made easy and simple. It makes learning easy and simple because the learning materials is presented in small installments. Due to individualized learning, it motivates the students for further learning. The teacher gets relieved of doing ordinary jobs and can play the role of the guide, counselor, motivator, organizer, etc. It may help the teacher in reduction of their total load of work. The time thus saved may be utilized by the teacher in some creative activities. A well-programmed self-instructional device is tailored to cater to the needs of individual students of the class. It helps to yield good results as the programs are better prepared and planned material, and it is better as the compared to traditional teaching methods. It gives self-motivation to the students. It also helps to the work in the organized and systematic manner without pressuring the students, and each student's work at his own interest and place. Program instruction makes learning interesting. The learning material is presented in such a way that learning becomes an interesting game in which the learner is challenged by his capabilities. The novelty of learning by advice provides extra motivation to the learner. It develops scientific attitude among the learners because they are able to think rationally, helpful for service teachers and corresponding studies. In service, teachers can be kept abreast with the latest developments in the field of the education through program instruction material. It also quite useful for correspondence course students who want to continue their higher studies by sitting at home or by continuing studies along with their jobs or vacations. Program instruction is helpful for teaching complex subject matter. The complexity of the material is simplified through the analysis of the subject matter into small and more easily assimilated segments of the information. Well-programmed materials give the teacher the method and individual sufficient time to comprehend more complex concepts. Program instructions as a teaching procedure is particularly useful for developing countries and where there is a shortage of good teachers. It is very useful in sorting instruction where human instruction are not easy to provide. Example, small isolated school in the hilly areas. Falling standards can be easily checked and suitable remedial measures can be given with the help of program material. And for those who are the intelligent or gifted, they can be provided with more course through program instruction, and thus they can make more progress without hindering the rest of the class. Limitation. The orthodox teachers who are indifferent to any change in the methodology of the teaching will not release accepting program learning material for classroom teaching. Teacher taught relationship in the important, but to the program learning, it is not extended. Some students are not habitual of working at their own and may not study at all. Or few them may become lazy and not want to proceed further. There is a need of the preparing suitable program for the learning in the Indian institution, which is not possible and will not be extension to. It cannot foster proper attitude, aesthetic appreciation, moral standards. In program instruction, learning subject matter is presented to the learners and they give response. It does not help in the development of their imagination. No flexibility in that because every learner has to follow same track rigidly. This program is totally provided to the worthless when the students starts looking at the key without reading the frame and do not work have any mechanism to control the dishonest behavior of their learners. The separation cost of this material is also very high and it is also time consuming method of learning and makes the students bored very soon. Problem solving method. Problem solving is the instructional method or technique where the teacher and pupils attempts in a conscious, planned, and purposeful effort to arrive of some explanation or solution to some educationally significant difficulty for the purpose of the finding a solution. Problem solving is a teaching strategy that employs the scientific method in searching for the information. It is arriving at decisions based prior knowledge of reasoning. Identify problem, identify plan, what might be if, work the strategy, measure. UCAM and Simpson define a problem occurs a situation in which faith, difficulty to act is the realized. It is difficult to clearly present and recognized by thinker. According to Gates, a problem exists for an individual when he has the definite goal. He cannot reach by the behavior pattern which he already has available. According to Skinner, problem solving is process of overcoming difficulties that appears to interfere in a problem solving. That entire subject matter is organized in such a matter that can be dealt with through the problems identified to the study. Skinner, the problem solving is a process overcoming difficulties. Final appears to interfere with the attainment of goal. It is the procedure making adjustment, speed, interference. Problem solving is the act of defining problem, determining the cause of the problem, identifying, prioritizing, and selecting the alternatives for solution and implementing the solution. The students are expected to observe, understand, analyze, interpret, find solution, and perform application that lead to a holistic understanding of the concept. This method develops scientific process skills. This method helps in the developing brainstorming approach to learning concept. This method develops scientific process skills. This method helps in developing brainstorming approach to learning concept. Problem solving involves three basic functions: seeking information, generating new knowledge, making decision. Objectives of problem solving: Willingness to try to solve the problems improve people's abilities to select appropriate solution strategies, improve people's self-concept with respect to the abilities to solve problems, improves people's abilities to implement solution strategies accurately, make the peoples aware of the problem-solving strategies, improve people's abilities to get more correct answer to problems, make peoples aware of the values of approaching problems in systematic manner, the appreciation of the existence of problems and desire to solve it, make people aware that many problems can be solved in more than one way. The accumulation of the facts and data which are pertinent to the problem make people aware that many problems can be solved in more than one way. Logical interpretation of the data supported by adequate valid experience. Purpose of problem solving method train the students in the act of reasoning, gain and improve the knowledge, solve puzzling questions, overcome the obstacles in the attainment of objectives, steps of problem solving, formation and appreciation of problem. The nature of the problem should be made very clear to the students so that can understand the actual solution of the problem. Collection of relevant data and information. The students should be stimulated to collect data in a systematic manner. Full cooperation of the students should be secured. The teacher may suggest many points to them, like extra books for it, organize our books, educational trips together, the relevant information. Organization of data. The students should be asked to the relevant material from the superficial one put in the scientific way, drawing conclusion. After the organizing data, discussions should be arranged collectively and individual with each student so that essential things is done by the student themselves and that their educative process provides the particular solution. Care should be taken that judgment is made by sufficient data collected. Testing conclusion. No conclusion should be accepted without being properly verified. The corrections of the conclusion must be proved. Steps of problem solving method. Understand the problem, describe the various, identify the various solutions, preparation, production, judgment, create visual image, guesstimate, look for the pattern, evaluation the result, try out the solution, evaluate the results. Teacher role in the problem solving. Help the students to define the problem clearly. Make many suggestions by the encouraging them to analyze the situation in parts, to recall previously known similar case and general rules that apply, to guess courageously and formulate guess clearly, get them to evaluate each suggestion carefully by encouraging them to maintain a state of doubt or suspected conclusion, to criticize the suggestions by appeal to know facts, ministers, and experiment get them to organize the material by proceeding, to build an outline of the board, to use the diagrams and graphs to formulate concise statement of the net outcomes of the discussion. A teacher who has an ability to see problems clearly, the power of the analyze with a keen observation, and that faculty to synthesize and draw conclusion with the uncanny accuracy. Teacher's role in the problem solving. Give suggestion, not answer. Offer the problem solving heuristic. Teach a variety of problem solving strategies. Allow time for the students to struggle with the problem. Choose the problems that require time to think through a solution. Allow students time to practice a heuristic strategy. Give similar or the same problem in the different ways. Ask questions that encourage students to think divergently, to share strategies, think other ways, think of real problems, reflect or check their solution, discover different problems, discover multiple ways to solve. Advantage. This approach is most effective in developing skills in employing the science process. The scientific method can likewise be used effectively in other non-science subjects. It is general procedure in finding solution to delay occurrence that urgently need to be addressed. The students' active involvement resulting in meaningful experience serves as a strong motivation to follow the scientific procedure in future undertakings. Problem solving develops higher level thinking levels, a keen sense of responsibility, originality, and resourcefulness are developed, which are most needed ingredients for independent study. The students becomes appreciative and grateful for the achievement of scientists. Critical thinking, open-mindedness, and wise judgment are among scientific attitudes and values inculcated through competence in the scientific method. The students learn to accept the opinions and evidence shared by others. Also, disadvantage. Generally, in problem solving involves mental activity only. Small children do not possess the sufficiently background information, or therefore they fail to participation in discussion. Students may not have adequate reference and resource books. It involves a lot of times. It needs very capable teacher to provide effective guidance and knowledge to students. It is time-consuming process. Teacher may find it difficult to complete the syllabus. There are also merits and demerits of our problem-solving methods. Merits, developments of long-term knowledge, retention, use of diverse instruction types, continuous engagement, development of transferable skills, improvement of teamwork and interpersonal skills, potentially poorer performance on test, students unpreparedness, teachers unpreparedness, time consuming assessment, varying degree of relevancy and applicability. Critical pedagogy method. The teaching concept known as critical pedagogy encourages teachers and instructors to support students in challenging, oppressive, and overwhelming situations. The foundation lies in the concept of critical theory, which calls for the recognizing and challenging the social order. The main motive of this pedagogy is to help students examine and confront the injustice in families, societies, schools, and universities by using the teacher's knowledge and understanding as an example. Critical pedagogy asks teachers to reject the notion of the knowledge as neutral or objective and
instead present knowledge as a subjective, support students in the questioning the power structures that have been put in place to uphold the status quo, something received and given for something else. This happens in light of the four understanding of knowledge, construction, majority education. Critical pedagogy is about challenging the traditional power structures in education and fostering a more equitable and just society through teaching and learning. Critical pedagogy, social justice, agency, power, and privilege. Critical pedagogy is a teaching philosophy that invites educators to encourage students to critique structures of powers and oppression. It is rooted in critical theory, which involves becoming aware of and questioning and societal status quo. In critical pedagogy, a teacher uses his or her own enlightenment to encourage students to question and challenge inequalities that exist in families, education structure, and societies. The educational philosophy is considered progressive and even radical by some because of the way in critics structures that are often taken for guaranteed. The steps of critical pedagogy: challenge yourself, change the classroom dynamic, present alternative views, change your assessment, encourage activism. Fundamental principle of critical pedagogy, critical thinking. Critical pedagogy strongly emphasizes the developing students' critical thinking skills. It encourages the learners to question, analyze, and evaluate information critically rather than passively accepting it. The empowers that to make informed decisions and engage actively in learning. Empowerment, a central tenet of critical pedagogy, is empowering learners to become agents of change. It encourages students to recognize their potential to transform their own lives and society as well. Individuals can get the tools and knowledge needed to address social injustice through the education. Dialogue in communication, critical pedagogy promotes open dialogue and communication between the educators and students. This creates a democratic classroom environment where diverse perspectives and valued and discussed. Social justice, critical pedagogy is deeply rooted in pursuing social justice. It challenges societal inequalities and aims to eliminate oppression, discrimination, and inequality. Educators using this approach often focus on race, class, gender, and power dynamics. Reflection and action, critical pedagogy encourages a cycle of thought and action. Learners are prompted to reflect on their experience and broader societal context, leading to informed action and social change. Origin of critical pedagogy: Paulo Freire, Brazilian philosopher and educator, established the concept of critical pedagogy and popularized in with the 1968 book Pedagogy of Outrage. Following that, it gained popularity across the globe with a solid foundation in the United States, where it proponents work to find ways to use education to fight oppression like racism and sexism, where it proponents work to find ways to use the education to fight oppression like racism and sexism. And it developed, it absorbed ideas from several disciplines, including postmodern theory, feminist theory, post post-colonial theory, queer theory. Queer theory represents a departure both from previous scholarship about gender and sexuality and how identity policies tend to work. The human rights movements, the civil rights movements, the disability rights movements, and the indigenous rights movement. FARE supports students' capacity for critical thoughts regarding their educational circumstance. Those who practice critical pedagogy believe that this way of thinking enables a student to recognize connections between their problems and experience and the societal context in which they are embedded. Features of critical pedagogy, it emphasizes conversion of one-way knowledge transfer. Dialogue is necessary to start the awareness process since man does not construct himself in the silence but through words, acts, and reflection. The primary components of the learning process is the employment of such a discussion. Education should be based on the social and educational version of justice and equality. Education ought to encourage the development of the mind and emancipatory change. Education should emphasize the importance of human freedom or from oppression and suffering. It envisions a new world, one of the more democratic, just, and equal. Banking system as education. Paulo Freire used the ironic term banking system education to refer to the current education system. He did is because the traditional educational system involves teachers depositing knowledge and information into students' empty accounts, much like one would be with a bank account. According to Fare, conventional education is an act of depositing in which the instructor is the depositor and the pupils are the depositories. In this educational approach, the teacher lectures and the pupils listen, retain, and repeat. Dialogical methods, Paulo Freire suggests problem posing as an alternative to the current oppressive and authoritarian banking education system. The idea behind it that students learn best when they build their information rather than when it is created from them. Critical consciousness. Paris education aims to develop students' conscientization or critical consciousness, critical awareness. Conscientization or critical awareness is the capacity to understand the roots of social, political, and economic oppression critically and to act to combat these forces in society. Capacity to understand the roots of social, political, and economic oppression critically and to act to combat these forces in society. It is condition of profound knowledge of the world and ensuring the liberation from the oppression. Praxis. Praxis refers to the process of learning, combination of uh, contemplation and action, theory and practice. Praxis refers to applying the theory in a real world setting. Fare believed that the aim of problem posing education was praxis informed action. Praxis, according to him, in the process of reflecting on the world and taking action to change it. It is a complex process which people shape culture, society, and develop the critically aware beings. It entails the growth of critical consciousness in addition to the social action. Enabling critical pedagogy in classrooms. Critical pedagogy is more than just a theory, it is an inclusive teaching method in which teachers take into account how students' various identities will affect their time in the classroom. Critical educators accept variety and even modify teachings and assessment to better meet in the needs of their students as opposed to fighting against or ignoring pupils with the different viewpoints. Critical pedagogy supports multicultural education and culturally sustaining pedagogies that bridge the gap between the mainstream and cultural knowledge by putting students' experience at the center of the curriculum, since children learn best when they can personally relate to the education and training materials. When maintaining the pluralism is the goal in the classroom, the students' community behaviors are therefore viewed as the strengths. The instructor or teacher should not think knowledge is simply contained in the curriculum material, the story, the play, and the students' cultural displays are just a few of various tools the instructor can employ. These kinds of tools empower the learners and encourage their creativity and critical thinking. The teacher can also foster a community in the classroom where students can take on different roles and use their existing knowledge to learn more. Impact of critical pedagogy on education. Empowered learners, critical pedagogy allows students to take control of their learning, fostering a sense of agency and autonomy. Critical thinkers, by prompting necessary thinking skills, this approach equips a student to analyze information, identify biases, and make informed decisions. Inclusive classrooms through the dialogue and the open communication. Critical pedagogy creates an inclusive classroom where all the choices are valued. It changes traditional powers dynamics, making the education more accessible to marginalized groups. Transformative education, ultimately, critical pedagogy seeks to transform not only the individual's lives but society. It aims to break down barriers and create a more just and equitable world. Social awareness, critical pedagogy encourages students to socially aware, to active, to become attuned, to make aware to issues of social justice and inequality, and they are motivated to take action to address these issues. Obviously, implementing the critical pedagogy will look different subjects, and what works for one class may not work for another. For example, a history teacher may challenge an event that is traditionally seen as the progressive, while a literature teacher may question common cultural stereotype found in a book. A science teacher, on the other hand, may encourage students to look at the impact scientific discoveries on marginalized groups. Collaborative method. Collaborative teaching, sometimes called cooperative teachings or team teaching, involves educators working a tandem, having to think in front of others to lead, instruct, and mentor groups of students. Collaboration most often occurs among professionals from various disciplines, including core subjects, special education, elective course, library science, or guidance programs, collaborative learning environment, idea based idea. On some of the occasion, teachers from the same department or grade level may team teach to target multiple levels of the learning or provide greater variety of supervised activities or students to practice skills. Collaboration can be implemented across all the instructional levels and subject areas. Collaboration teams need to bring their best strengths and practice to the team while the remaining flexible to adapt to new methodologies that can benefit students' learning. In this way, teachers continue to grow their professional skills and students gain understanding from a variety of instructional approaches. Team teachers must also present a united front so that students perceive each and being of equal importance in knowledge and authority, thus leading to the respectful learning environment. Collaborative learning is the educational approach of using groups to enhance learning through the working together. Groups of two or more learners work together to solve problems, complete tasks, or learn new concepts. Through defending their position, reframing ideas, listening to the other viewpoints, and articulating their points, learners will gain a more complete understanding as a group than they could as individual. In collaborative learning, individual participants must also take responsibility for their team learning and succeeding. There is no director to administer the rules of engagement, so the group itself must self-direct. Collaborative learning theories, Vygotsky theory of social development. Vygotsky social learning theory puts an emphasis on the importance of social intention for the development of the learning and cognition. He believed that community was in the important factor in the process of creating meaning and knowledge. Piaget's theories of cognitive development, Jean Piaget, set out to understand how infants and children develop their understanding of their world and how they become able to use reason and thought to develop hypotheses. Types of teaching collaboration: lead, observe, assist. One teacher presents new content while the co-leader observes students and assists any who may be off task or struggling with concept. Teach and reteach. The lead teacher presents new materials and activities while the co-instructor reviews previous information and skills for retention purpose. Simultaneous teaching. The class of divided into two smaller groups and both teachers present the same material at the same time. Types of lead, observe, assist, teach, reteach, simultaneous teaching. Instructional station. Students rotate between several stations to receive new instruction or work activities monitored by teachers. Supplemental teaching. While one teacher instructs the majority of the learners, the other takes a small group aside to work on different instruction goals related to the readiness or literacy skills. Co-teaching rotation. Both teachers present new information, rotating because presentation and support roles during the lesson. Benefits of collaborative instruction. Collaboration is a wonderful teaching tool. Teachers have the opportunity to assess differentiate instruction for students more reality, and they can learn new instructional techniques from one another to expand their teaching repertoire. Cooperative teaching experiences also provide mutual support and assistance for planning and implementing the lessons assessing the students' progress, sharing professional concern, and addressing students' learning needs. Most important, teaming allows more opportunity for the students to understand and connect with content, thereby maximizing individual learning potential. Collaborative teaching allows teachers to impart information to a broader range of learners using approach that spark students' imaginations while supporting individuals' learning difference. Merits develop self-management and leadership skills, increase learners' skills and knowledge, improve relationship across team members, improve knowledge acquisition and retention, improves learning retention, develops self-management and leadership skill, increase learners and skills and knowledge, improves relationship across team members, improves knowledge acquisition and retention, improves learning retention, promotes learning from others' viewpoints, teaches how to think critically and quickly, promotes listening to criticism and advice, develops public speaking and active listening skills, improve cooperation. Constructivist pedagogy. Pedagogy is the science of teaching and learning is based on the theories of learning. The salient feature of 20th century pedagogy well-structured education system instruct objectives, teachers, centers, teaching, drill and practice, reinforcement, memorization, well-structured education system, instructional objectives, teacher-centered teaching, drill and practice, reinforcement, memorization. This is the constructivist pedagogy. Emergence of constructivism in the late 1970s and 1980s, many educationists began to criticize the teaching learning practice based on the behaviorist school. Through this teaching, the students failed to develop ability to work collaboratively, construct knowledge independently, and collaboratively develop the divergent thinking of discovering new things. The science of teaching and learning is based on the theories of learning, the silent feature of 20th century pedagogy. In the 1970, 1980 education began criticize teaching learning practice based on behavior school. Through this teaching and students failed to the developability work collaboratively. I have already discussed. Construct knowledge independently, collaboratively, develop divergent thinking of discovery new things. Constructivist is basically a theory based on observation and scientific study about how people learn. It says that the people construct their own understanding and knowledge of the world through the experiencing things and reflecting of those experiences. When we encounter something new, we have to reconcile with our previous ideas and experience of many changing what we believe or maybe discarding the news information as irrelevant. Humans are not passive information receivers. Humans are active information receivers. They build network of information with their previous information and they assimilate or accommodate new knowledge with the whole information in order to build their own understanding of the new information. Another guiding principle is structuring learning around the primary concept. This refers to building lessons around main ideas or concepts instead of exposing students to segmented and disjoint topics that may or may not relate to each other. The third principle is seeking and valuing students' points of view. This principle allows for access to students' reasoning and thinking process, which in turn allows teachers to further challenges students in order to make learning meaningful. The final principle is assessing student learning in the context of teaching. Authentic assessment is the best achieved through the teaching interaction between the both teacher and student, and observe students in the meaningful task. Major cause of the failure mechanical teaching learning strategies, stereotype learning, focus on memorization, teacher dominated methodology. What is constructivism? Constructivism is the basically a theory based on the observation and scientific study about how people learn. It says that people construct their own understanding and knowledge of the world through experiencing things and reflecting on this experience. When we encounter something new, we have to reconcile it with our previous ideas and experience may be changing what we believe or maybe discarding the new information as irrelevant. A definition of constructivism, an approach to learning in which learners are provided the opportunity to construct their own sense of what is the being learned by the building internal connection or leadership relationship among the ideas and facts being the taught. Boris and Tomari, 1997. Another definition, human are the not passive information receiver, human are the active information receiver. They build network of information with their previous information and they assimilate or accommodate new knowledge with the world information in order to build their own understanding of the new information. Challenge feature of the constructivist pedagogy, knowledge construction, assimilation of ideas, structured curriculum, discovery of invention of the knowledge, subjective evaluation, learner-centered education, collaborative learning, critical and reflective thinking, development of the creativity. Guiding principles for constructivist pedagogy. The first principle of posing the problems of emerging relevance to students, focus on the students' interests and using their previous knowledge as a departure point helps students engage and because motivated to learn the relevant questions posed to the students will force them to ponder and questions their thoughts and concepts. Another guideline principle is structuring learning around primary concept that refers to building sessions around the main ideas and concept. And instead of exposing students to the segmented and disjoint topics that may be not relate to each other, the use of broad concept invites each student to participate irrespective of individual styles, temperature, and disposition. The third principle is the seeking and the valuing the students' points of view. This principle is allow or assess to students' reasoning and the thinking process within its allows teacher to further challenge students in the order to make learning meaningful, adapting curriculum to address students' supposition in the fourth principle, the adaptation of curricular tasks to address student supposition is a function of the cognitive demands implicit in specific tasks, the curriculum, and the nature of the questions posed by the students engaged in these tasks supposition. The final principle is the assessing the learning in the context of teaching authentic assessment best achieving through the teaching interaction between both teacher and student and observing the students' meaningful tasks. Instructional strategies Instructional strategies, Burners, constructivist instructional strategies, innovation, exploration, explanation, taking action, inquiry-oriented constructivist model, introduction phase, puzzling situation, data gathering, experimentation of by student, hypothesizing and explaining, analyzing the inquiry process. The 5 E's models: engage, explore, explain, elaborate, evaluate. There are there are have been organizing calls for constructive teaching based on the constructive views of learning during the past decades. The reasoning of such advocacy is the result of the source for better teachers have to noted persistent shortfalls in learners' understanding and a cohesive approach to the learning across all the age and grades. There are the philosophical and psychological arguments to support constructivist educational practices. Philosophically, the individuals has to construct or reconstruct what the things because of the stimuli or encounter that never logically sufficient to convey the message psychologically. Research shows that the active engagement in learning may lead to the better retention and understanding, give use of knowledge. Constructivist pedagogy is the where instructors encourage students to construct their own knowledge and through experience and activities versus being the lecture and on abstract concept. Educators who teach using the constructivist pedagogy promote skills and subject mastery through hands-on lesson and self-guided learning. Students are asked to form their own conclusions about a topic through their own discoveries. Constructive pedagogy refers to a theory of instruction where the students are asked to observe and understand course concept through risk exploration. Constructive pedagogy supports the mental learning where the students learn through the doing. Put to practice and non-constructivist approach may involve students reading textbook chapters and answering the discussion question. A teacher using the constructive method may ask students to complete a simulation conveying the stage of mitosis engaged to students' order. Ultimately, the constructive pedagogy supports the idea that knowledge cannot be passively observed and still constructed or modified through the individual. Okay, benefits of constructivist theory includes students are treated as capable learners and are encouraged to exercise creative, critical, and independent thinking. Educators recognize the students require targeted, differentiated lessons and match their cognitive needs. Using the Piaget stage, new and fill in the educators can quickly get an estimate learners' ability level based on their age. Reflective pedagogy. Reflective pedagogy is the teaching model where educators continually reflect upon their lessons and curriculums to improve future iteration of their course. Instructors who use the reflective pedagogy model regularly gather data on students' satisfaction, engagement, and belonging to the help inform subsequent lessons. They typically poll learners before, during, and after class to ensure their course is taught in a way that's conducive to students' success. Reflective pedagogy refers to a curriculum approach where educators collect and analyze evidence of effective teaching. Reflective teaching is effective teaching. Educators typically turn to evidence, including the qualitative and quantitative data from students, colleagues, perceptions, personal experience, and educational theory and research. Self-assessment is a core component of reflective pedagogy. The educators may record themselves giving a lecture and they observe their behavior and deliver to critique and efficacy of their of these lessons. Educators may also use teachings inventory to assess their current teaching practice and spark new ideas of future lessons and course. Reflective teaching involves the examining one's of underlying beliefs about teaching and the learning and one's alignment with the actual classroom practice before, during, the after the course of thought. Reflective teaching means looking at what you do in the classroom, uh, thinking about why you do it, and thinking about it if it works. A process of self-observation and self-evaluation. Examples: self-assessment, reflection journals, teaching interventories, video recorded teaching practice, teaching portfolio. External assessment, student evaluation, midterm, in-off term, peer of dependent observation, and feedback. Benefits. Research on reflective teaching over the past 2 decades has shown that it is the link to inquiry and continuous professional growth. Reflective practice can be beneficial from professional development at both the pre-service and in-service level of teaching. It develops critical thinking and promotes experimental learning. It enhances personal growth. It gives freedom to teachers to impose their own methodology, enhancing rational thinking. It enriches the students' personal reflection on their work and provides insight to refine their teaching practice. Program instruction. Program instruction is a method of presenting new subject matter to students through a graded sequence of controlled steps with corresponding activities. Students work through program materials at their own speed independently and assess their own comprehension after each step through exam questions or filling in the diagram. This method consists of network of tests and statements which direct the student accordingly depending on their pattern of errors. Program instruction refers to their main methods of learning. The first was developed by Norman Crowder, where the instruction includes multiple choice test questions within the text and provides feedbacks for each of the non-correct alternative options where our student chooses them. The second was the developed by B.F. Skinner and includes the schedule reinforcement for activities placed in the specific continuous order. Computer-aided instruction is includes that use of the computer to teach academic skills and promotes communication and language development, and skills it includes the computer modeling and computer tutors. Computer-based instruction is defined as the use of the computer in the delivery instruction. Other similar terms include computer-based training, computer-assisted instruction, and computer-assisted learning. Computer-based instruction, CBI, is the oldest form of the computer used in the education. When most people think of computer application is the education, they think of CBI first. Common categories of CBI: drill and practice, tutoring, simulation, instruction game, problem solving, other. Drill and practice, exercise designed to increase influence in a new skill or body of the knowledge, or the refresh and existing skills or body of knowledge. This approach assumes that the learners have previously been introduced to the content. Traditionally associated with the basic skills in topics such as mathematics, language, terminology, good programs provide user controls, give feedbacks and reinforcement, and help learners master skills. Good for basic skills knowledge, where the Rapid student response is designed usually best to use in the series of brief sessions, mainly intended for the use of the individuals, should be geared to a level of the appropriate for the students. Tutorial of a form of the CVI in which the computer assumes that role of tutor, introducing content, providing practice, and assessing learning. Tutorials are used to introduce new content to learners in much the same manners that the human teaches mind. Because of tutorial presenting content to students, they can be used in any areas of the curriculum, remedial when the learners lack necessary background knowledge, enrichment when the learners wish to go beyond the biases, introduction of content to all the learners, freeing the instructor to do other things. Good for the verbal and conceptual learnings may require significant investigation of the student aims, can be effectively used by individuals or groups of 2 3 students, should be followed by the opportunities for the students' application of knowledge simulation, a form of CVI that provides a simplified uh, representation of real situation, phenomenon, or process, provides the opportunity for the students to apply knowledge of the realistic format, but without the time, expense, or risk associated with the real thing. Instruction game. Usually, another type of CVI is drill and practice of simulation modified by include the gaming elements, generally features and end of the goal and the rules of play, sensory appeal, motivational elements, is competition, cooperation, challenge, and fantasy. Examples of these CVI are found throughout education. Usually, they are aimed to younger learners, such as those in the elementary grades, games and substitute for the work sets and exercise as a reward, or in the some case of the foster cooperation. Problem solving, a CVI program that is designed to foster thinking of problem solving skills but does not into one of the other categories. Usually focus on the specific types of problem solving and provides the practice on a number of variety of problems. Problem solving application sometimes focus on specific topics, areas, mathematics, science, and sometimes they are designed to promote general problem solving abilities. Example, pattern recognition, prediction. Advantage of CVI interactive provides the immediate feedback, infinitely patient, motivates learners, and provides consistency in presentation, can adjust difficulty to learner, able to branch to provide appropriate content presentation to the learner, can present concept process dynamically and using the multiple forms of the representation, and can maintain records of student performance, frees the instructor to do other things. Limitation of CVI equipments and software can be costly. Development takes time and money. Not all the learning outcomes are well addressed by CVA. Unsophisticated application may not make good use of the computer. Simple CVI has limited modalities, but multimedia is changing that. Research on CVI, report of research on reading and math softwares from the Institutes of Education Science reported no significant difference in the standardized test scores between the classroom using reading and math software in the control classroom. Uh, again, another new research critics suggest study that flaws only 20 to 15% of instructional time was given to the software teachers, or not fully fluent in using it, and the software was not aligned with the assessment goal. However, the study does raise concern about the typical patterns of use of CBI in schools. Critics suggest that the study had only 10 to 50 instructional time Degree of integration, primary instruction, use of CBI primary instruction is not common, but some users of really on systems that major portion of instruction. Adjuncts, most of teachers are CBI in a supplementary role of the remediation, enrichment, and or just changing process of classroom. Issues of integration make sure the software fits with the curricular goals of the subject. Use the software that fits with the personal teaching philosophy and your teaching style. Large group approach, lecture adjunct, demonstration, problem solving, simulation, or game. For group, from Sander software, small group approach, tutorial, simulation or game, problem solving, group 2 to 4 students working together on a particular piece of software work. Individualized instruction, drill and practice, tutorial, simulation or game, problem solvings, and determine specified desired software characteristics, obtain or construct evaluation form, survey available sources of software, obtain the software for preview. Read the documentation, run through the software several times, complete the evaluation form, repeat the process for any computing process, make your selection. Computer-aided instruction, diverse and rapidly expanding a spectrum of the computer technologies that assist the teaching and learning process. CI is also known as computer-assisted instruction. Example, CI applications include guided drill and practice exercise, computer visualization of complex objects, and computer-facilitated communication between the students and teacher. Computer-assisted instruction, computer-assisted instruction mix of the multimedia software learning and including the video technology, graphics, and internet technology. Computer-assisted technology is heavily used in the growing field of the distance education. She has hyperlinking, synchronous, asynchronous conferencing, real-time audio and video, as well as 3D visual reality. History of CI and collaboration between the educators and Stanford University, California International Business Machines Corporation introduced CI into the Slack. Elementary schools CI program are linear presentation information with the drill and practice session. Automatic teaching operations system, another early CI system was initiated at the University of the Illinois and in early 1960s and developed by Control Data Corporation was used for higher learning. By 1985, non-Plateau system was operating in United States from 1978. 1985 users logged 40 million hours Plateau system. Control time shared interactive computer, control information television system was CI project developed by the Mitra Corporation and Brigham Young University. Based on the personal computer and television technology, I was used in the early 1960 to teach freshman level mathematics and English course. 90%, 5% of elementary schools and 20% of secondary schools in the United States and computers for assisting instruction days 3 years later, both numbers and roughly quadrupled, and by the end of the decade, are nearly all schools in the United States and most of the individualized countries were equipped with teaching computers. The vast expansion of the internet, a consortium or interlinked computers by connecting millions of computers worldwide. These networks enable students to access huge stores of information which greatly enhance their resource capabilities. Increase the students' access to information, increase the percentage of personalized instruction and students receives, increase the students' the independence and personal responsibility or education, improves students' attitude and lowers the amount of time required to master certain materials. Kaiwa has not been very effective on application involving the abstract reasoning and problem solving process. A poorly designed CI system can uh, dehumanize or re- resignments their educational experience and thereby diminish the students' interest and motivation, difficult to maintain to implement. Drill and practice assumes that the skills have previously been presented and that further practice is necessary for the mastery. Tutorial activity includes both the presentation of information and its action into different forms of work, including drill and practice, games and simulation. Games typically use to teach content. Occasionally, they also involve the learning process such as decision making and communication skills. Simulation of trade can provide approximate of reality that does not require the experience in real in life or its risk. Most simulation features a combination of text and graphics using the dialogues and query to guide in the through the situation. Discovery software provides that the database information specific to course content